So we're standing out in 27-degree weather because we're about to watch The Batman. So I don't know what to expect. I heard it's much darker than the other movies. I'm not sure how you can go darker. It was already dark, but apparently it's darker than the darkness that was dark. Without any further ado, let's go in and watch this. So we just watched a Batman movie.
The Batman movie.
Well, it's a Batman movie anyway.
What is The Batman?
So we haven't talked. We walked right out of the theater and sat down. And first impressions?
I was very, very pleasantly surprised at how good this was. Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure what you were thinking. I'm sitting here next to a Marvel Comics guy, and I'm wondering what's he thinking? Trying to read your mind. It's not an MCU movie.
It was not an MCU movie. No, very non-superhero. It reminded me a lot of like the first Iron Man in that it was not a lot of superhumanity. But it's a very, very compelling story.
You say you were pleasantly surprised. What were you expecting?
I expected it to suck.
Did you really?
Yeah, honestly, I did.
Why do you say that?
It just,
Been done too many times?
Twilight, man. To be Twilight, but I expected it to suck, but mostly because of him. But I have to say he did a really, really great job.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect from that actor in this role. What I liked about the movie is basically similar to what you said. I like Batman better when he's fighting crime as opposed to fighting aliens or interdimensional monsters or whatever. I mean, he's fighting Falcone, and I think Falcone, now I'm a DC Comics guy, Falcone is really one of the best villains in Batman that's not given proper attention. Everybody thinks about the Joker, the Penguin, all the super bad guys, but Falcone's just a mobster, and he is a...
Good. End of discussion.
He's not a nice guy, and I'm really glad to see... I mean, he was really the villain in this movie, almost more than the Riddler.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I like the guy that played him, too. I can't remember the actor's name, but...
More than any other Batman movie, you got to see Batman actually investigating crime and actually being a detective trying to figure shit out, and I like that a lot.
Which is the origin of the whole thing, Detective Comics. That's what DC's all about. So, it's...
I'd love to see this as a springboard for a new DC universe. They're talking about making other DC things set in this reality. They have a Gotham City Police Department show in the works that takes place in this... version of Gotham City. This version of Gotham City seemed more like an actual location than any other Batman movie.
It did. A lot less cartoony and a lot more Gotham-y. Like the architecture was very...
You could go there, but you wouldn't want to.
Exactly. You'd go there, but you wouldn't want to stay very long.
And what I also appreciated about this movie is you got to see a superhero actually being a superhero rather than a super punching the bad guy in the face. And there's plenty of punching bad guy in the face, but there's also superhero character rescuing innocents. And like I won't avoid spoilers in this, but there's a sequence where he rescues a kid. He leads people out of rubble. And I thought that was really outstanding. But I would highly recommend it. One minor criticism, I will say it's too dark, and I mean that in the literal sense. I couldn't see what was going on for a lot of the movie.
It was definitely dark literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and the dark figuratively part, it wasn't as like bleak and horrible as people say. It just crime. He hates crime, justifiably so. And I caught a lot of references to other DC Comics things that I want to go back and rewatch this movie with a fine-tooth comb and really pick out all the little details.
We ain't found shit.
They mentioned Bloodhaven, which anybody who knows the Nightwing character, there's he frequents. What's that?
Nightwing's my favorite.
You like Nightwing?
I like Nightwing. He's cool. He's like what Robin grows up to be, right?
Exactly. There's a Nightwing and Bloodhaven are, almost like Gotham and Batman. So they reference that. They also reference individual comics, even in like a wink-wink kind of way, even if it's not really full-on adaptations of it, like The Long Halloween. A murder happens on Halloween. There's a comic book where a murder or something happens on each holiday through the course of the year, and I thought that was neat that I don't think it was an accident they chose Halloween. And they mentioned Hush. They even had the word Hush up on the screen. Hush is one of the most famous Batman comics that's been done. And they referenced that in this movie, too. So there's a lot of good stuff in there for an actual DC Comics fan like me, so I appreciate that a lot. I'm not sure how I would rank this movie amongst other Batman movies. I think I need to let it process this a little bit more before I give a solid opinion. But first impressions, I really like it. It could have been a little shorter, maybe, but I think you'd be losing stuff. This might have worked better as a miniseries, but I think seeing it on the big screen needed to happen. It's an epic story, and
big screen movie. One of the things that I like the most about just this portrayal of Batman is that you get a lot more of like the villain's eye view and like he's scary.
Riddler had motivation.
If you are justice, please do not lie.
And I like there's a bit of a character arc where he goes from vengeance to hope.
Yes.
And it's not as dark and brooding. I heard people use the word brooding over and over and over again in the reviews. It has that element, but what are you supposed to do? Just be smiling and,
Right. I'm happy that my parents were murdered.
I thought Alfred was good. A little bit different take on the character. No, I give it my strongest possible recommendation. There is a prequel book that I read. I kind of stumbled across it. I didn't know that it was a thing, but it was an advertisement that worked on me. I bought it when I saw the advertisement. But the book, it's a really short read, goes into Riddler as a kid and growing up in the former Wayne Manor as an orphanage. And they show Bruce Wayne tinkering with his muscle car and turning it into the Batmobile. He goes in street races and whatnot. It kind of sets up the universe a little bit. I think it's a really, really quick read. It's written more for children, which is odd considering this is not a children's movie at all. But the book is kind of more written as a children's book. But it does set up this universe quite well. I'd recommend the book too. But overall, I really like it. I don't know if it's my favorite of the Batman movies. I don't think it's going to top Michael Keaton 1989, or I'm not sure if it'll top The Dark Knight. But I don't know. It might. I'd have to sit and think about it a little bit. But overall, as a DC Comics fan, as a fan of like murder mysteries, I like thriller fiction. I like Silence of the Lambs type movies, and this is like combining the things I love into something I really, really love. So, absolutely, one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, yep, it's right up there. I really, really liked it. I don't know where I'd rank it, but it's definitely high up in the Batmans for me.
Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll put other videos up at the same bat time, same bat channel.
I am the Batman.